Great. If anybody has any questions, please identify who you are and let us know who you're addressing your question to. Matthew.
Matthew Lee, Inner City Press, on behalf of the Free UN Coalition for Access. Thanks, both of you, coming together. You mentioned the financing for development, so I wanted to get your view, maybe each of you or whoever chooses to answer it, on the non-inclusion of a UN-based tax body to look at kind of inconsistent corporate tax by big companies. This seemed to be one of the big complaints, at least that I heard coming out of Addis, is that you still have big corporations that are able to move their money around in such a way that developing countries can't, get their fair share of taxes. So do you think this can be addressed? And also, when looking at the news of ECOSOC in the last couple of weeks, the NGO vote on Freedom Now and Palestinian Return Center is a sort of main news about ECOSOC. And a lot of countries say that they want to see reforms in the way in which NGOs are reviewed. This might be directed to you, Investor Joon, is what can be done to make the review of groups, fairer or more streamlined? Is, if 5 years is too long, but 1 year is too short to get questions answered as to the Palestinian Return Center, what's the right balance? Thanks a lot.
Well, let me try to answer the first question. I've had the luck to chair already I really mean it, of the existing committee on tax experts. And you wouldn't believe it. The experts who came from the OSCE and from different, with different backgrounds, were already discussing exactly what you were asking, i.e., the question of how to increase the own resources for developing countries, in own resources for investing in their own development. And you can do that inter alia also by increasing the tax base of these countries. And the discussion was by these experts from the OECD was how to help the countries to deal with multinational corporations, with the question of tax exemptions for multinational corporations, which actually, reduce the tax base. So the discussion has already taken place. And I heard this discussion twice because I chaired it. And I can tell you that the meetings that I chaired this year and last year were among the most interesting that I ever chaired in listening to the experts talking. So unfortunately, like many meetings that we do here, they have gone more or less unnoticed. But if you had been sitting at this meeting, you wouldn't have believed what the experts were saying. And there were not only NGO experts, there were the OECD experts. So this is a real problem, a real question, and it is dealt with, it is understood. So I can only hope that we will have more opportunity to talk about that in the spirit, in the idea to increase, so to say, the own resources of the developing countries.
I'm really sorry. I just wanted have been specific on that. As I think there was a proposal in the Addis outcome document that would have created a new body to be housed within the UN. And I think a lot of both advocates and even some developing countries wanted it. And their ideas that the OECD and some of the more affluent countries basically shot it down and said, we want to discuss tax amongst ourselves.
Well,
If that's accurate or not.
I wasn't in Addis, unfortunately, and I cannot. But to what extent, to the extent I understand, so to say, the existing body already was strengthened, and I do think that this is important. Let's see how things further develop, but go and listen the next time this body convenes, and listen to their discussions. They are revealing.
Yeah, as Martin said, we already have a forum, a committee to deal with tax matters in the context of ECOSOC. But as you pointed out, Matthew, some countries wanted to upgrade this forum. So I think this is just the start of new debate. It's not over. And as you pointed out, issues related to taxation getting more and more important with a lot of international financial activities in the world today, in this globalized world. So I think this is only the beginning of the debate on this new issue, and we shouldn't, prejudge what kind of results we will have. But we already briefly discussed it in the context of how to upgrade the existing ECOSOC subsidiary body on tax matters. And regarding your second question, NGOs, as I pointed out earlier, that there should be very strong emphasis on the importance of strengthening ties between ECOSOC and multi-stakeholders, including civil society. In that context, I think NGO-related issues are also important and will get more important. How the NGO committee, the current committee on NGOs, is doing, we need to take another look at it. But my basic assumption is that the NGO committee is there to promote UN's or ECOSOC's interactions with civil society and NGOs. It's not a selection process. It's not the business about selecting which NGOs are doing well and which ones we should select as our partners. It's not like that. Of course, if there are problems with NGOs, sometimes in terms of the definition of NGOs, then there should be some kind of screening. That's for sure. But where to draw the line and how we should go about it, I think needs more discussion, and that's what I think. Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question? Okay, great. Ambassadors, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. Have a good weekend.